Clint Cosgrove with Rivals.com here with Missouri head football coach Eliah Drinkwitz. Coach Drink, what a day. February signing day is a little different nowadays. Has it been a little more relaxing this year?
Well, it's not a little bit more relaxing right now because we got about 12 inches of snow on the ground. So trying to battle the weather as you came in today. But, with the addition of the transfer portal, recruiting has really picked up all the way from January through this second signing period. And we were able to add a couple of guys that we really felt like were under recruited and felt like they brought value to our program and really excited about adding both Curtis Piegler and Carmichael Glass. Curtis is from Demopolis, Alabama, and Carmichael is from Louisiana. And so, it was really a good effort by our player personnel department to find these guys and kind of hunt them out and hide them for a little bit as much as we could, and then get them up here the last weekend and get them signed and committed.
For sure. Speaking of Glass, really kind of under the radar prospect, great length, guy with a lot of upside. Tell me how you go about finding a guy like that, keeping him a secret, and then signing him.
Well, so Ryan Trishell, our director of player personnel, is from Louisiana and has always recruited that area really hard. And so he had been keeping an eye on him, and when he got this job, we watched him. Went and visited him, asked high school coaches, did the old-fashioned recruiting, didn't worry about the internet and Twitter, worried about coaches and developing relationships, and, hired Blake Baker from LSU, and he had, known some of those coaches there, had also been at Louisiana Tech, and started asking around, and man, everybody was shocked that the kid didn't have more going on. And, when we had seen him live, he's 6'4", every bit of 212, and just got a great frame on him and will really strike, plays downhill. So all those things kind of came together. We were very strategic to not send me down there, to make sure that it wasn't too obvious that we were recruiting him. Made sure that he came up. We had reserved the last weekend to visit. And then when he got up here, asked him not to post the offer until Sunday and offer and commit at the same time. So just didn't want, it to get too much traction. And but when you watch his tape, man, really excited about his potential and future here.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, you don't see that happen too often nowadays, where a guy can kind of stay under the radar with the Twitter world and, everybody documenting your every move. So very strategic plan to make that happen. Now, you talk about relationships, doing it the old fashioned way. And I think that is something that has really worked for you at Missouri. It's well documented that in the past, maybe Missouri didn't sign all of the top in-state products, before you got there. And you've really made that an emphasis, starting with last year's class, rolling into this class, best class Missouri signed last year. You won up it this year. Signed guys like Luther Burden, who maybe in the past don't go to Missouri. Tell me about how that has kind of transitioned the thinking and really the viewpoint of those, St. Louis area and just building those relationships. How has that helped you sign these classes?
Well, I think it all starts with relationships and understanding that the grass is not always greener outside of the state. I think Missouri high school football kind of gets a bad rap, and understanding that, we don't have spring football, but that provides us with an opportunity for our players to continue to develop once they get here. And so you have to do a great job of projecting and as a former high school football coach, I know what it meant for me when the Division I school in that state would come by and swing by, and you're always slanted to try to help your state. And that's how I was raised. And so that's my mindset coming in, and, just understanding the conference that we're in, knowing that you got to try to garden your own or whatever that saying is, but you got to take care of your own garden first. We got a really, we've been a little bit more heavy in St. Louis, but this last class we just signed 4 kids out of Kansas City, and the future is bright in the Kansas City area, and it kind of goes back and forth, kind of like Dallas and Houston. And so we got to recruit both. We got to recruit rural Missouri. When Coach Pinkel had this thing rolling, I think all 5 starting offensive linemen were from rural Missouri. And so we got to continue to do a good job of evaluating our state first. That's where you're going to have the best chance of getting guys on campus, because at the end of the day, recruiting doesn't start until somebody comes on campus. And to try to get somebody from the middle of Florida or the middle of Louisiana to campus can be a challenge during the summer. And so this kind of helps us. And the new day and age with the transfer portal, I think you got to be strategic in making sure that you sign your high school kids who that you're going to develop and pour into, that have built-in advantages. And then after that, go see how you got to, reset your roster.
For sure. Speaking of that approach, you guys have done some good things in the transfer portal. What is your overall approach when you look at the transfer portal? What are you looking to gain from that?
Well, there's all kinds of approaches. I think the first approach is, can they add value to the culture of what you're trying to establish? Still young in our tenure here at Missouri and trying to build this thing, and you want to be very careful of not bringing in the wrong kind of players. So it starts with, do they add value from a culture perspective? 2, do they add value? Can they play now? Are you bringing somebody who's, if they've got 1 year left, do you believe they have the opportunity or the talent to start? Because if they don't, then you're going to create a weird dynamic within your locker room where everybody's unhappy. But now, it used to be grad transfers as portal guys. Well, now it's to the point, like we just signed Ian from Auburn, who's actually a young developmental player, but we felt like he was somebody that we felt like with great length and size could really help our football team and still develop. So there's all kinds of philosophies, and everybody's a little bit different in how you're developing your roster. But it first starts with, do they add value to your program?
For sure. And touching back on the in-state recruits, you were able to sign a guy with great physical gifts and a unique skill set, DJ Wesselak. Tell me about his abilities and what he's going to bring to the defense.
Yeah, really excited about that one. That was a long, drawn-out recruiting process. We weren't even listed in this top 15. But like I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter about being in the top 15. It's who they choose at the end. And we're able to recruit DJ and Miss Marley to believe that we're the best fit for him and his future, and know that he's got great physical skills and traits. He's a great competitor, can really rush the passer. He's got position flexibility, whether it's an edge, defensive end player, or outside linebacker type. Does a lot of really good things on tape, but I think he's just scratching the surface of who he's going to become as a player. It's going to be our job and Coach Peoples' job to really develop him. And so we're excited about that.
Yeah, no question. He's a guy that, I really like, and I've gotten to know through the recruiting process. Obviously, a very high ceiling on him. Now, let's talk about, before I let you go, just one more thing. I heard from a recruit on a recent school visit, somebody showed up in a dump truck. Tell me about, doing unique things like that, how they work in recruiting, and whose idea was that?
Well, it's our recruiting department's idea. We're trying to always find creative ways to make our brand known and exciting, and make sure that people know that we're going the extra mile. It's like in a relationship, if you just let things get stagnant, take it for granted. We don't want these guys to ever feel taken for granted. And so, we had some really big guys. There's a song, Really Big Rings. Well, we actually need really big guys to help us win rings. And so we wanted to bring, dump trucks, 18-wheelers, monster trucks to just demonstrate that we're willing to go the extra mile for those guys, to make sure they know how important they are to us. And what the future of our program is going to be is built on what their commitment to us will be.
No, I love it. And I know the prospects loved it as well. Coach, thank you very much for coming on. Congratulations. Back-to-back top 20 classes. You, after signing the highest ranked class last year, you won up it this year. Excited for the future of Missouri football. Coach Eliah Drinkwitz with Missouri. Can't thank you enough.
I appreciate it. And MIZ.